I've hit Feudal, now what? Age of Empires is a game of decisions. The decisions we make and how we execute them is everything, and understanding the options available to you and the goals involved in those options is vital to good decision making. Today's video is going to be focused on the options available to you once you hit Feudal, the strengths, the weaknesses, and goals of each, so that when you're entering a game, you have an idea of what you want to try and accomplish. Of course, with 16 civilizations, each with their own unique bonuses, these strategies need to be modified to fit the civ, and some strategies will be naturally better fit for other civs than others. I will try to give examples of this when talking through the strategies, but can't go over each one individually. See my continuing series on civilization breakdowns to see civ-specific examples. I promise more will be coming. Some civs also have feudal strategies that are unique to them, such as the Mongol tower rush into trade, and Malaya cow boom, and Byzantine farms and mercenaries in a castle, that don't really fit perfectly under any of the options, but are kind of a meld of a few. I also want to say that an important part of AoE 4 is flexibility. You might be planning on going to TC until your English opponent 5 villager rushes you, which means you need to change your strategy. Adjust based on what is happening. And lastly, before I jump in, an obligatory ask to please like and subscribe, as it's absolutely massive for a channel my size. I also have a coaching community Discord where I offer paid coaching, free coaching, replay reviews, and just general support and love of AoE 4. So let's talk about what I consider to be the 4 strategies of Feudal. Strategy number 1, Feudal all in. The goal of this strategy is to either win in Feudal or do so much damage that you can go to Castle to ensure an easy win. How? You will put resources into making units and putting pressure on the opponent. You want to raid, kill villagers, and cut off resources. Every villager you kill means you are now getting more resources than your opponent. When you cut off resources, such as deer, berries, and boar, you're putting your opponent on a timer where they either have to push you back before they run out of safe food, or they invest in the farms, meaning they have less units. The same idea applies to cutting off wood or cutting off gold. Where you put pressure depends on your opponent's strategy. It is vital that you are scouting your opponent as they age up to see where they're going for. Let's look at some examples on how to tell what they're going for. Fast Castle, what's the sign? The sign is they move multiple villagers to gold and build a tower on gold. If they're going Fast Castle, then you need to push them off gold and prevent them from sneaking out to other gold mines. If they tower their gold, then you should be dropping ramps and pushing them as they age up to castle. If you push them off gold, even if they hit castle, then they can't afford gold units, meaning they aren't even really in castle. 2TC, sign, they are moving villagers to stone during age up. In this case, you have 2 goals. The first goal is to get there in time to stop the TC from being put in a good spot. Your opponent wants to get a TC on resources to protect them. If you can force them to put their second TC near or next to the starting TC, that's a huge bonus for you, because the outside resources just outside the base are still open to your raiding. The second goal is to push that second TC with your units. Secondary TCs are pretty weak, and the investment to make a TC and double the vills after the TC is dropped means it will take time for your opponent to match your army size. You have a window then to drop a ram and attack the second TC with a larger army than your opponent can make. While waiting for the needed units, make sure to send units to secondary resources so your opponent cannot boost their eco. Feudal aggression. Sign, your opponent has 2 to 3 units on gold, and they're dropping production buildings, no villagers on stone. In this case, you're both going to fight it out. It comes down to who makes the best unit comp, takes fights they can win, controls their economy to maximize their resources, and raids their opponent the best. You want to try to raid and pressure your opponent's food, as this will stop them from making units and giving you an edge. Setup for feudal aggression. As you age up, leave 4 to 5 vills on food so you can keep making villagers. Then you want 4 villagers on the age up. Leave 2 to 3 villagers on gold. Rally to wood as the age up happens. Your goal is that you're dropping production as you enter feudal so you can start making units. Villagers that age up go to food, so now you have about 8 or 9 on there. Generally, you want to keep rallying to wood to around 8 to 10, more if you want to make archers. Then you rally to food. As the game goes, keep going back and forth between food and wood, depending on what you're noticing you're lacking. You need to be consistently checking your resources and asking, what do I have too much of, what do I have not enough of? If you're a feudal civ that makes gold units, then you will also want to add villagers to gold, as you get more production. Overall, feudal aggression is successful if you do the following. 1. Keep making units, don't stop. It is amazing how many games come down to who hockeys their production and keeps their making units. Adjust your resources. If you have 1,000 extra wood and don't change to get more food, you will not be able to make units. Keep adjusting your villagers as you run low, or get extra of certain resources. Keep adding production as your eco grows. 4. Cut off resources of the opponent. If you're attacking on one side, send 2 to 3 units to the other side to catch your opponent sending vills for emergency resources. And lastly, adjust your unit comp to counter the opponents. Civs who are good at feudal aggression based on their bonuses. English with their longbow rush. French, Jeanne d'Arc, and Russe because of their feudal knights. Order the Dragon because of their strong units that can shut down eco. Ottomans with their free unit production and fast shooting archers. Zushi, which have great early eco and fast production with Zugnus. Delhi for fast production, free upgrades, and feudal sacred sites. And Mongols with their Dark Age Tower Rush, double unit production. Aggression is also used to defend their trade. Strategy number 2, fast castle. The goal, to age up as fast as possible without dying. You then grab relics to boost your eco. At the same time, you rush your opponent with knights or men-at-arms to dive and hurt their eco. After that, the choice is yours on how to win. How? You'll put villagers primarily to food and gold, with a few on wood to build houses, towers, and production. Most of the time when fast castling, you have enough sheep that you can drop a tower on gold and get the castle without needing many units to defend. If your opponent is going all in, then you need to be ready to make units to survive. If you can time your castle well enough and get production down as you're aging up, you can use castle units to push back against a feudal army. Scouting is vital to see your opponent's reaction, as it affects the way you enter castle. Let's go over some of the options. Option number 1, your opponent is pushing you with units. You get a tower up and decide, can you go to castle, maybe sneak out to another gold, before they push you. If not, you might need to pivot into units to reach castle. Opponent is going to TC. You make no units and rush castle. Your goal is to grab relics and raid. You have to raid well, so their eco bonuses of more villagers does not pay off. At that point, it's either push, get your own TC, or rush imp. Third, the opponent is going fast castle themselves. This often becomes a knight skirmish, as both of you want relics and can use knights to defend religious units, kill opponent's religious units, and raid. You need to castle rush as fast as possible with the goal of getting down the stable the second you hit castle. If you get an archery range or a barracks first, your opponent will just use their knights to outrun you and raid you. After the relic duel, it just becomes a normal game. To set up fast castle, as you start your feudal age up, you need to keep 3 villagers on gold and age up with 3 to 4 villagers. Keep 4 villagers on food to make villagers. Then you rally your villagers to wood until you get 150. You want 100 wood for a tower on gold and 50 for a house. Then you send 5 villagers or 3 of your HRE or OTD to stone for 1 round of gathering to get arrow slits for the towers. And this is when your first big decision point comes. If you can rush castle without the opponent killing you or doing game-ending damage, do not get more wood. You can get it as you age it for production. If you're going to get pushed, leave 4 villagers on wood for production and a few units. This is a fine line to tell and will require reps as you learn what is a push you can defend with a tower and villagers, what's a push you need a few units, or when you need to abandon the fast castle and just fight it out. As you enter feudal, you really only need 5 villagers on gold, unless you really want eco upgrades, which means 6 or 7. When should you be getting eco upgrades during a fast castle? In my opinion, you should not get eco upgrades if you're fast castle racing with your opponent or racing against feudal aggression. You should go for eco upgrades if you're going against a 2 TC. The rest of the villagers are rallied to food until you age up to castle. Civs are good at fast castling based on their bonuses. HRE, great economy from prelates and Aachen Chapel, huge gold boost and defensive boost from relics with regnets. Japan, good early eco from free farms and their version of wheelbarrow, as well as great castle landmark and floating gate, which allows you to get quick unit production and instant relic gathering. Ayubid, cheap castle age up or free villagers gives a great boost in eco into castle. Berries get extra gather, so more food near TC, and villagers can gather resources while age up happens. Malians, you have to boom a bit with the pit mines and cows, but you want to rush castle after that, and that eco boost from the cow landmark is huge. Zushi, cheaper castle and great early eco to rush castle. Castle landmark produces monks for quick relic gathering. Strategy 3, 2TC. The goal of going 2TC is to get up another town center, which will allow you to get more villagers, which gives you more eco. If you can survive being pushed or get more eco than your opponent, you can thus make a bigger army and win. How? You will primarily split villagers to wood and stone to get the TC up as fast as possible for 2 reasons. 1, the faster the TC, the sooner you get extra villagers. 2, you want to increase your chances of a good TC spot, and not allowing your opponent to punish you with units is critical for that. Going to TC is a huge investment. It's 750 resources, then you have to spend double food to make villagers, and while your villagers are building the TC, they're not gathering. This means there is a warm-up period to a 2TC where you're vulnerable. If you think about it, the opponent is going feudal aggression, all the resources you put into a TC they put into units, and now you have to catch up. This means the second TC spot is critical. Can you get it on a resource like food or gold to protect it? But if you put it too far from your main TC, it could be destroyed by an early feudal push, which puts you very far behind. So scouting is always critical. As you age up to feudal, you want to scout your opponent's strategy and adjust based on that. Let's go through the basic adjustments. Opponent goes feudal aggression. Depending on how fast you can get your TC, you want to place it near an important resource like food, wood, or gold, but still close to your original TC. Ask yourself what you can shade or protect to make your base safer. You then need to go into wood quickly for production in units. Opponent goes castle. You can be aggressive with your TC placement to maximize resources. You can then rush castle yourself. Protect yourself, get spears for knights, and try to wall up to prevent raids. Opponent also goes 2 TC. You can either add a third TC to double down on eco focus, or just rush castle. This also allows you to place your TC in the optimal position, because there's not likely a chance for them to push you before you get the TC down. To set up a second TC, as you enter Feudal, you want to do the following. Age up with 4 villagers. Pull all your villagers off gold, and leave 4 villagers on food. Split villas between wood and stone. You roughly want 2 to 3 more villas on wood than stone, because you still need to make houses, and you need 400 wood compared to 350 stone. If you're afraid of really quick pressure, send most villas to stone first since it's far from the TC, then send all to wood after you get to 350 stone. After the CC is dropped, split villas depending on your plan. Civs who are good at 2 TC based on their bonuses. China. With Song Dynasty, you can quickly produce villagers, so 2 TCs provides quick villagers, Barbarin in the Sun provides a good early defense, and Imperial Official quickens the second TC timing. Abbasid. Cheaper villas means they can get 2 TC of less eco hit. Villagers do not build the landmark, so while the age up is happening, they can all be gathering resources, which speeds up the TC timing. They can also get cheaper TCs of Eco Wing, or the Military Wing will allow free units to defend the TC drop. Rus. Kremlin allows safe stone gathering and a safe TC drop. Japan. Can gather stone to get gold, allowing for stone gathering in Dark Age to get to Feudal and also set up a quick second TC. Strategy 4, soft pressure. I debated adding this strategy since it's a bit more broad with less defined parameters, but I feel it is a legit strategy, though potentially one that leads to failure if a decisive decision is not made quickly. Goal: to make a few units to pressure opponents, allowing you to make your best choice based on the information. How? As you enter Feudal, you want to make a few units and push the opponent. You're searching for an opportunity. Is the opponent going 2 TC? You can slow it and rush fast castle, or decide to go all in. Is the opponent also making units? You can pivot into a feudal fight, or make them over-invest in units to defend while you rush castle. Is your opponent fast castling? Use your units to slow them go 2 TC, or go feudal all in, or just rush castle yourself. The goal is to try to delay your opponent so you can make the best decision in the moment. It allows you more flexibility and the ability to take advantage of the situation in the moment instead of pre-deciding a strat. The issue is if you do not make a decision decisively and aren't able to change your economy on a dime to support that plan, then you end up just doing worse version of one of the earlier strategies. This is a powerful strategy for some civs that have feudal landmarks that produce military, such as English, French, and Byzantine. Civs that are good at soft pressure. French and Jeanne d'Arc. With the School of Cavalry, you can make 1 or 2 knights for pressure, then go 2 TC or go castle. English. With Abbey of Kings, you get a free king. You can also use to pressure the opponent while you go second TC or rush castle. Delhi. You can make a few Ghazi raiders, decide to rush castle with sacred sites if the opponent is not aggressive. Byzantine. With either Hippodrome or Grand Winery, you can use horsemen and mercenaries to pressure while making a decision. Mongols. Use Tower Rush and double produce Keshiks to rush castle. Order the Dragon. You can use the Dark Age Spear Rush to slow down an opponent, giving you options. I hope you come away from this video with a better understanding of the options available to you. You will play your best when you have a plan and are working towards executing that. Your villager splits will be more decisive, and your changes will make sense to help support your plan. Let me know in the comments any questions or feedback that you have, and good luck on your games.